Hi, I'm Marilyn Tessie.
I'm Camilla Shylock.
I'm Sydney Ressler.
I'm Ryan Lance.
And we are doing a Turkish embassy letters by Lady Mary Wortley Montagu.
So just starting off with a little bit of background on why we chose these letters and about Lady Mary Wortley Montagu. She was a rebellious female writer. She taught herself to read Latin in secret, and she eloped with her husband privately. She married for love rather than money, which at the time was really scandalous. We liked this aspect of her personality because it really showed that she had a point of view that she wanted to get across, and that what she was writing about, she wasn't afraid to hold anything back in her writings. In 1716, her husband was appointed ambassador to Constantinople, and there is where she wrote her most acclaimed work, the Turkish Embassy Letters, which is what we decided to analyze. And the three main points of interest in her work are religion and ritual, cultural differences, and the status of women. And we really liked this broad aspect of her letters, so we were able to analyze a lot about the culture of the places that she was traveling, and it gave us a wide scope of things to look at. And these letters were actually not published until a year after her death, and that was per her request. And that was really interesting to us because it showed that she really was truly trying to communicate with her friends and family and with her audience, rather than writing specifically for fame, even though she did get some of that through her letters. And so it showed that what she was trying to communicate had a true perspective. So why these letters? We liked that she had an open-minded perspective when she was writing. She went to these places and she didn't really have an opinion. She was able to truly analyze what she was seeing in these countries and look at them open-mindedly. She had a willingness to actively engage in the culture, and active engagement was something that was huge because a lot of people, when they went, they just sort of were passersby and they would look at what was happening in the culture, but she actually went to the bathhouses and she tried on the different dress of the different cultures, and her active participation was something we really wanted to look at. There was also a comparison to British aristocracy, so we were able to see the upper class of Britain in comparison to this foreign exotic type culture, and there was a variety of places for us to analyze within these letters as well.
Okay, so as was stated before, she was a woman of power and prestige, being born in the aristocracy and the wife of the British ambassador of Turkey. She came from a royal highness that wasn't really interested in familiarizing itself with the social classes. During this time, everyone was very separated based on how much money they had. But from a young age, because she started her life just educating herself, a lot of it was on her own. You can see that she was already trying to set herself apart from the rest, because a lot of women during this time didn't have the privilege to learn the things that she was learning about. And by learning about subjects like Latin that were mainly reserved to men during this time, it was clear that she was kind of driven into this world curiosity that drove her to be intrigued about things that a lot of people around her weren't really intrigued during this time. Our argument, which is kind of covered by the picture by accident, was that she, in her trips, she tried to really culturize herself about all this new culture and this new traditions she was exposed to, and she really tried to merge into this place that was so unfamiliar to her. We can see that from the letters that we read in class and even letters that we read on our own. She wasn't on this trip just to tag along with her husband. It was actually a trip that she really made her own. She wrote with her friends back in England in much detail about everything that she was observing and everything that was in front of her. And she really tried to communicate and connect with this culture that she didn't know much about, considering the fact that during this time, the world wasn't as connected as it is now, and all these people she was seeing, all these traditions and everything she was learning about was really undiscovered to her and really new to her. And she made a lot of efforts to just basically really immerse herself into this new place. She tried to talk to a lot of scholars, a lot of public officials about different topics like religions and politics, and she talked about the fashion. She even wore some sort of garments that she was seeing in Turkey, and her whole willingness to engage in this new place really allowed us to showcase a variety of both her writings and her travels.
So I'm going to talk about the creation process a little bit differently than kind of everyone's gone about it. I just thought of it differently. So first we started with research, and Sydney already talked about why we chose these letters. But we broke it down into everyone. Our first group meeting, we all just kind of skimmed through all the letters that she had and wrote down all the different places where she worked from, not that she mentioned. And then from there, we each took a certain amount of letters and then broke it down into how many places she talked about in each letter, so that we could get a broader view of all the general places that she went. And that was, everyone in the group participated in that. And then we did our collection of multimedia, which was one of the first deadlines that we had. And we, based on the letters that we read, we just found things that we thought would be appropriate for multimedia use, mostly pictures, and then put that on a Google Doc to submit. And then we had our text writing, which again everyone did based on each of our individual letters and based on our different places. And then editing was all of us. We kind of did a peer edit style, kind of like we do in class, but we're doing it in a group meeting kind of setting. And then the creation of the map, because MapHub we found was easier to just have one person use. Marilyn took that role on to just basically, we would put everything in a Google Doc, and then she would transfer everything, multimedia and the text, to MapHub and like the locations obviously. And then submissions, everyone kind of obviously contributed, but only certain people submit stuff, so me and Marilyn kind of just took that on for our purpose, because I guess I'm one of the biggest procrastinators in the group, unfortunately, so I'll admit to that. And then we basically just took a Google Doc, we had a master Google Doc, said everyone, please put all your information here, and then we would put that onto Canvas. And then overall, I just want to say I think we did a very good job, having equal parts, so just because the last two columns say me and Marilyn, it was just very simple stuff.
So the multimedia elements of our project, obviously we used MapHub just because it was easy to work with, and it has a lot of like tools that you can use to kind of give more information about your places without making it too complicated to follow. And then, like we said before, you can only edit with one person, so we use Google Docs as a way for all of us to input like on one place, and then that way it's much quicker than like all of us having to come in with separate documents and try to put it all in one spot. And then we used a lot of pictures to help like represent the information that was told to us in the letters, because when I was first reading the letters, like you would like read all the explanations she gave in places, but you can't really picture it, like you can't imagine it in your head since you don't have any context of those places. And so when I started looking at the pictures, I started to really understand like what she was talking about or what she could have meant. So I think that's a really helpful part in like getting people to know your whole story.
That was the whole presentation. Thank you.